Sam has a hammock that I had purchased and never used, and he used that last night. That is, hold on,
Half the night.
Grand Trunk. What's it say?
Yeah, Grand Trunk.
Grand Trunk. And he's teaching me a little bit about hammocks and how they're properly used. And honestly, Sam has used hammocks a lot, and I actually haven't used them since I was a kid. So he's going to tell us about the proper use of hammocks, and actually he's got some skills with hammocks. So please go ahead, Sam.
I'm not sure if all of this. I'm not sure if all of this stuff is true. It's just what my dad told me. My dad was hiking around the world for 5 years with just his backpack. So he pretty much just grabbed his backpack, hopped on the plane, and went wherever the wind took him. And he used hammocks a lot. He told me that most hammocks, you don't line them like this. Loads of people line their hammocks like this, and I personally find in this hammock especially that my feet slip off the edges when I'm sleeping, and it's just not so well made.
Okay.
But this one isn't long enough to do this. What you're supposed to do in a hammock is to lie down like this and stretch out. Some of you might know there's a hammock called Hammock or something, which is quite cool. You just hook it up between two trees, and there's a slot in it. You can put an air mattress inside, but it goes like this too. Has a mesh and everything. You should check it out. It's pretty interesting. But this should have your feet out if this was long enough, and then you wouldn't have the worry of rolling out or flipping it or anything. It's much more stable this way. It feels better. So if you're just lounging in the daytime, or even if you just had this to put your bags in, this hammock would be fine. It's very light. It fits into this bag that's attached to it.
It's an ultralight, yeah.
Right?
That's why I bought it.
The nice thing about this hammock here is that it just has these little S-rings. So you can just hook it on, and if you were to take this off, it would just be a rectangular sheet with a loop on the end. So if you wanted to, you could take a wooden pole or a metal pole or something and stick it through here, and you could use it as a cot or something, or as a shelter.
Ultralight shelter.
Right? So the design of this is quite nice, except since it's like this, it's a sheet. So the edges are always at the same level as you, or lower. So you don't have that stability of a hammock where it's more of a canoe shape. So that's the feature that made it hard to sleep on this last night. That's just one thing that I didn't like. But if you're using this as a multi-purpose everything sort of deal, then I think this thing will work great. It was $20, something like that.
Yeah. It was sold as an ultralight hammock, which is why I bought it for backpacking.
It was on sale, but for $20, even if it was $30, it's not such a bad deal.
See, I bought that, then he got married soon after, and it was like, now I don't go out alone, so.
So the tent that we'll be reviewing later on today, that's the sort of thing that Uncle Troy should have bought. But, yeah, there's another hammock company called Enos, I think. E-N-O-S, I'm pretty sure, which has quite a nice system as well. Those are very comfortable. You don't feel like you're going to roll out. You can put 2 people in it comfortably as well. Yeah, that's it.
I never knew you were supposed to sit sideways in them. I never knew that before.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe it's just something that my dad picked up when he was living with the other travelers who just hung up their hammocks on the beach, right? It was a pretty wild...
Well, it makes sense, because otherwise you're in a bow shape and you're uncomfortable.
Yeah, like when you go like this, you're pretty much more or less flat. You're not going to roll out. And this one just isn't long enough. But if it was long enough, it would be quite a nice hammock. I mean, you can also lie down here. I was thinking, if you just reinforce these somehow, made a couple holes and tied them together, or something like that. I did that with an old mesh hammock that I had. I put my mattress in, and it's really hard to put a mattress in a hammock this way. If it's this way, it's easy, you just throw it on. But trying to curve your little foam mattress this way and that way, it just doesn't work. But I did with a little mesh hammock. Then I just used carabiners and clipped them on, and it kept my whole sleeping bag from falling out, and it kept me much warmer. But you can't really do this.
And it was 32 degrees Fahrenheit last night.
That was bad.
And that's why you didn't make it through last night.
No, I slept half the night on this thing. Well, I came from Canada not thinking that we would have freezing temperatures.
Colder
in the
weather
middle
here,
of August.
Right?
Like it's cold. It's warmer in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And normally I'm okay, but I didn't have enough blankets with me. My sleeping bag is down, but it's a summer bag, so.
Well, I have to say as well, the weather did not tell us it was going to freeze last night. So we couldn't have foreseen that at all. And we've had 50-degree nights all the way through.
Other nice thing about this hammock is that you can keep stuff in here. If you have your flashlight or your phone, you just hang it on the side. If you're going to need it at night instead of having to reach down onto the ground or something. Yeah, I'd say it's a pretty good hammock for $12 all around.
Not for 19, but anyway.
19. You could use it as a stretcher as well.
True.
If you put the poles through the ends.
As much as you kicked and trashed last night, it definitely withstands the abuse.
Yeah, I just had paracord both sides, a double layer.
Yeah,
so,
it takes the abuse,
win
definitely.
for paracord too.
I was afraid he was going to fall on me because I was on the cot underneath, but it held up.
See, this cot has insulation. The other cot that I slept on after was not much better than this. It was just a bit more comfortable. Because with this thin layer, just when you have all your weight on something like that and you have your sleeping bag, the sleeping bag gets compressed. And it's the air within the down that warms up and that keeps you warm. So when you have your sleeping bag and it's just like having 2 layers of this with a couple of feathers in between, your body heat, you just don't keep warm. So with this thing, Uncle Troy had some insulation, which helped, but
I think very important note
pretty cold
for hammock camping. I have read this online. Is in cold weather hammock camping, you definitely need something under you. Most people don't think of it. They think about putting their sleeping bag, slipping into the sleeping bag, but on the bottom they're compressing their sleeping bag. Mm-hmm. Which reduces the insulation factor.
Yeah, that's just what it said.
People don't think that. Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate because most people don't realize the importance of that.
What you can also do, that's what they do with the tree tent that we'll review today. They say if you're winter camping, buy a footprint and put it underneath and put blankets. So you can do that with this. If you took another hammock, put it underneath, fill it up with blankets.
Oh yes, I've heard of that.
I'm sure that would act as a nice air barrier and some insulation as well.
True, but then you don't have your ultralight. Once you start adding on,
it's no longer ultralight.
Yeah, so
but
this
I mean,
is more
for
of
winter camping, it's either a tent or 2 hammocks.
Right.
So
this was not meant for the weather we had it in last night, but we couldn't have foreseen that. The weather was not saying it was going to get that cold, so it is what it is. We made it through the night. We survived, and the coyotes didn't eat us.
In a survival situation, I would call that a comfortable night.
Yeah, we lived, and it wasn't unbearable, I think, so we did okay.
Other thing that was cool, well, not cool, but we had to pee so much because this is what I've heard from my scout leaders. So I'm not sure if it's facts or not. But when your body gets colder, and that's because of lack of it. If we were warm, we would have been fine. But since we were so cold, your body tries to get rid of as much extra stuff, like water. So the more water your body has to heat, the colder you get. It takes more energy from you, which makes you colder.
Yeah.
So therefore, we had to pee constantly 8 times last night or something like that.
Yeah.
So once our body got rid of that, you could get warmer because it doesn't have to heat as much.
Yeah, that's important too. Definitely.
If we were warm, we wouldn't have that problem.
Yep. What else? Last night, well, my sleeping bag. I was cold too. My sleeping bag is a summer weight, and I have my military poncho liner that I've always used for years, and it was cold last night. It wasn't unbearable, but for survival, we survived. Nothing ate us. We made it through. Alright guys, this is Troy from TR Tech Tactical and Survival, and my guest Sam. Thank you very much. I learned something today.
Yeah.